Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu received a rude awakening last week at the UN General Assembly. Now, as Netanyahu walked to the podium to address other world leaders, a lot of delegates simply just stood up and walked out on him. Before Netanyahu could say a word, a lot of delegates, diplomats from various countries simply just stood up and walked out on him before he could say anything. And so his speech was read out to a significantly small group of world leaders at the UN General Assembly. Now, a lot of people and analysts seem to think that the walking out on Netanyahu by the delegates was an indication of the unhappiness that various countries of the world have towards Israel's actions in the Gaza Strip. As you know, right now 41,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's war against Hamas, and over 95,000 have been injured. Now, of those killed, 20,000 of them are children. Yes, 20,000 of them are children. So it seems world leaders took this opportunity to demonstrate their unhappiness towards Israel's actions by walking out.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the State of Israel. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly. Order, please. Ladies and gentlemen, order. Order. Order, order. Order, please. Order.
As if that wasn't enough, a lot of world leaders simply tore Netanyahu apart. They tore Israel apart. Now, a lot of world leaders criticize Israel's actions in the Gaza Strip, which has resulted in the loss of over 41,000 Palestinian lives and 95,000 injuries, and among the dead are 20,000 children. So a lot of world leaders expressed their unhappiness towards Israel's action, but top among these was Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley. Now, she totally tore Netanyahu apart and she took him to the cleaners. I mean, she simply went at him and told him that he cannot quote the Bible to justify Israel's actions. And she also quoted the Bible and said, in the Bible, God says, vengeance is of mine, saith the Lord. I mean, you should see this.
Ladies and gentlemen, King Solomon, who reigned in our eternal capital, Jerusalem, 3,000 years ago, proclaimed something that is familiar to all of you. He said, there is nothing new under the sun. As the book of Samuel says in the Bible, Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will not falter. In the Jewish people's epic journey from antiquity, in our odyssey through the tempests and upheavals of modern times, that ancient promise has always been kept, and it will hold true for all time. To borrow a great poet's phrase, Israel will not go gently into that good night. We will never need to rage against the dying of the light, because the torch of Israel will forever shine bright.
The Assembly will hear an address by Her Excellency Mia Amor Mottley, Prime Minister, Minister for National Security and the Public Service, and Minister for Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment of Barbados. I request protocol to escort Her Excellency and invite her to address the Assembly.
Unless we address the root causes of these wars, one by one, and the manners in which they are being sustained and financed, we will never, never know anything else other than war and rumors of war in these theaters. The transmittal of these scenes of horror in real time into people's bedrooms, into people's living rooms, will trigger two extreme reactions, neither of which are acceptable to us in the third decade of the 21st century. We will either get the desensitizing of ordinary people to the loss of lives, especially those of innocent children and women on the one hand, or we will get, on the other hand, the anger and inclination for vengeance that it spawns necessarily. We need peace. And it cannot be too difficult for us to work for peace. It is the same Bible that tells us in the stories of the Old Testament, much which has guided many people across this world. But when we turn from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is Romans that says to us, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," not any country, not any human being. So that the Bible can't be used as a convenient aid when it suits us and rejected when it doesn't. In the midst of this maelstrom, we were very clear. My country took the step this year of recognizing and establishing diplomatic relations with the state of Palestine, in spite of having supported a two-state solution since 1969. And we did this because it is clear to us that the state and people of Palestine, human beings, are entitled to full recognition by integration into and support from the international community. The Charter does not say we the people, with the exception of any one group from any one part of the world. We join with others, therefore, in congratulating the state of Palestine in taking their seat among the United Nations member states, as they did on the 10th of September of this year. And let me be clear, we condemn the actions of Hamas on October 7th. But we equally and strongly deplore the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, which is the result of the disproportionate use of force by Israel. There's no justification for it. And that is why treaties exist governing the rules of engagement for war. Because we as human beings learned better and know better and committed to better. A two-state solution, no matter how elusive it may appear to be now, is the only answer. And I've said already this week that we have known difficult battles in mankind's history. But when we were in it, we didn't think we could achieve it, but we did. We abolished slavery. We removed apartheid in South Africa. These battles are not beyond our creativity, our capacity, and our resilience to resolve them. Similarly,